Hey everybody, what's happening? Dan Sugar here on Drum Talk TV with a very special guest, a first-time guest, and I'm messing around over here on the monitor to make sure I can see questions and all that. Tammy Mitchell-Woods is joining us all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tammy, welcome. Thanks for taking time out on a Saturday. That's
yeah.
You thank your husband as well.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'm doing good.
Good. And so Tammy's in Tulsa. I'm in Globe, Arizona, which you've never heard of unless you're one of the 8 people who live here or you watch this show. So I'm about 100 miles east of Phoenix up in the mountains, 120 miles north of Tucson to give you some idea of where we're at. Chime in, tell us where you're watching from. And we have lots of fun stuff to talk about with Tammy. The first thing I'd like to mention is if you are a female drummer, and this is not to exclude the men, me bringing this up, but if you're a female drummer or you know a female drummer or you know women who like to follow female drummers, Tammy founded what is, as far as I know, the largest female drumming group on Facebook. It's called Drummer Girls United, and about 9 months ago or something like that, I was honored to be invited as, I think, the only male in the group, which, I really appreciate that because at first I kind of wasn't sure how it'd be received, and I'll be honest, I haven't been received great by everybody, and that's okay because that's just like family, right? But it's been really wonderful, and I was a little sort of not sure at first, simply because I didn't want anyone to feel like I was intruding, like, oh, she let this guy in. And on top of letting a guy in, it's this guy. And what if she lets in all these other guys? And it's no longer Drummer Girls United. It's Drummer Girls and some guys somewhat united, So I was very sensitive to that fact. But since the very beginning of Drum Talk TV, I've been very sensitive to the fact of, I know a lot of female, girl, women drummers, whatever, sometimes don't like that label. However, I have to call it something to articulate the fact that I've been aware that many have had challenges getting work and kind of breaking through in the industry and getting visibility. So from the very first month of Drum Talk TV, I've done my best. And my wife and I have 11 kids. 6 of them are girls. Well, they're ladies now. And I have 19 grandkids. I've lost track. I'll guess, maybe 9 of them are girls. So, and I had a mom who was also a girl. I have a sister who's a girl, a wife who's a girl. So I've been sensitive to that whole thing. And I was really thrilled and nervous when you asked me to join the group because I did and do feel like I have something that I contribute. And one of the best things I've gotten out of being part of the group is discovering such wonderful talent that not only would I maybe not otherwise be familiar with, but by putting it on, this is some of the young ladies on Drum Talk TV, their videos like yours and interviewing them at the NAMM show and stuff, I feel, and I mean this in a good way, I'm not trying to like honk my horn, but it kind of feels like the Tooth Fairy in a way, except I haven't left anybody any money yet, but by helping to give them a platform, and it's been wonderful to see the comments that they get. There's just so much talent out there. So tell us how you decided to go about founding the group, and that it's grown to over 1,100 people since I joined when it had under 500 people. So so far, kind of a good ride, right?
Yeah, 65 countries are represented so far.
That's awesome.
I know, it's actually really fantastic. Short story, up until about 4 years ago, I didn't personally know another girl drummer.
Well,
and that's really, seriously. And so I just started doing a YouTube search and a Facebook search, see what other girl drummers are out there. How do they play? What kind of music? I just wanted to watch them in action. It was just kind of I just wanted to see some sister drummers out there. What are they doing? And I came across Annika and Emmanuel and, Ellie Bertrand and Hillary Jones, just all of these.
I've never heard of any of them, but I'm sure they're pretty good.
All of these incredible drummers. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could all meet together in one place on Facebook, because I'm sure I'm not the only female drummer that is in that position. Don't really know other female drummers, and wouldn't it be great to have a sisterhood? Because what I found was on so many of the drummer Facebook groups, the guys felt some camaraderie because, brother drummers, and not to exclude anybody, but like you said, there's a little bit difference in how women are perceived drumming, even if they are the top of the line drummers. Sometimes just watching a girl walk up to a kid holding drumsticks, I've seen and heard some things that you wouldn't hear necessarily if it was a guy.
Right, and as a guy, well, first I want to ask Gil, is there echo, Gilbert? Okay. What's so lame about that is just as lame as when people say, how do you set up like that? Or what's with that hair or no hair? Or, what's with that stick grip? That's not right. If you couldn't see it, you wouldn't know the difference. Good drumming is good drumming, no matter what the grip is, no matter what the setup is, no matter what someone's wearing, no matter what their gender is, or change of gender, or orientation, or whatever. It all comes down to what goes in here first. But, unfortunately, globally, I speak to this globally, not just in America, not just Canada, not just, wherever. It's a very judgmental society these days. Yeah. However, I will say this, and this is from the experience of being a drummer for 48 years, giving away part of my age, and having played professionally and toured and composed and produced and taught lessons and things through the late 70s and into the 80s and 90s and all those things. Drummers are different. As a whole, drummers are different from most musician communities. And like you said, you saw that most male drummers, had like a brotherhood going. You formed this group so that there'd be a sisterhood. And I think it's totally legit to say, we need kind of a private place to talk about certain things as female drummers. And I think that's totally legit and it's great. But as a whole, drummers are more communal than any other musical instrument community. They share techniques more than any other musical community. They geek out on each other's gear. I've seen guitar players literally throw towels over their pedal board so you can't see what they're playing during sound check or even during a show where something's masked so that you just can't see what they're using, or they turn around and do their solo, and just silly stuff like that. Whereas drummers, I think, tend to all get along and for the most part support themselves. Growing up on Sunset Strip in Hollywood and playing up and down there and all over the San Fernando Valley, drummers seem to always be the first ones there to support a fellow drummer playing in a band and the last ones to leave. I think all drummers typically have a good sense of humor. And I think most drummers surprise people, male and female, when people who don't know them and aren't familiar with drummers as a community. I think most people are surprised to find out that, for the most part, we're somewhat articulate. The ladies are ladies, the men are for the most part gentlemen and well-spoken, whereas they picture us like Animal on the Muppets, right? Because we're getting on stuff for a living, we must be like that at home. Child, let me get a spoon, slam the door, I need a plate, crash. It's not like that. And Lori Shube, who is our chief digital officer, who's been there every New Hampshire since the second one we covered, this was the first thing she said when she went with me to live events and started covering things and saying, wow, some of these guys look like, such gangsters and villains, and they're the most well-spoken, gentlemanly people I've ever met. And the same thing goes for the ladies. And I think I'm proud of that. That's what I'm getting at. I'm proud of that the men and women that belong to the drumming community are like that.
Yeah, the ones that I've come across, and just about everybody, male and female, I'm very supported by the male community and the female community. And like you said, a lot of people don't like to be considered a female drummer when they're just a good drummer, But the reason I created this is because when I was in some of the male groups, there would be, kind of sexist comments made, or some of the guys would put up pictures of very scantily clad women that were obviously just models behind a drum kit, and they would say some gross things. And for the women in the group, we don't need that. We just wanted to be in a community with other drummers. And so, as far as this group, I have some criteria that I kind of gatekeep. I just make sure that it stays really positive. I make sure that it stays very encouraging. It's for little girls starting out and women that are professionals that are in their 60s and even 70s, and everybody literally in between. Everyone is accepted, and we just make sure that everybody stays encouraged and educated. And a lot of people will tell me this is the group that they log into every day just because they know that they're going to get some encouragement and it's going to be a lot of fun, and everybody feels really comfortable with promoting each other. It doesn't feel like anybody's in competition with another drummer.
Yeah,
so.
And that's wonderful. That's what it's all about. And that's another thing. I think most drummers don't have that competitive sort of spirit amongst themselves or amongst other musicians. And, I've seen some of that too. I ran across a video about a week ago, and it was on YouTube how it has the suggestions on the right column. And it was this young Japanese girl. I don't know how old she was. She was probably, I hope, at least 18. And she was wearing a bikini playing the drums, and she was playing really well. So I went to her YouTube channel because I wondered, does she always dress like this, or is this was it hot that day or whatever?
Right.
And I went to her channel, and she only had 3 videos. They were all very good, but she was wearing a bikini. And I was thinking, I know that if I post this, I would have written to her and say, hey, can we, all that jazz. But my concern is if we post it, I knew there'd be tons of guys that would have, and I'm sorry, given inappropriate comments. Mm-hmm. And I know that it might have been offensive to women who don't really know me and don't really know the spirit of Drum Talk TV.
Right.
They have totally taken that post a whole different way. And as good as the drumming was and everything, I decided it's just, I worked really hard to build our brand and attract an audience of over 1 million people. I don't want something like that to make people upset. There was a video about 3 years ago that maybe you've seen, and it was a bunch. We'll give it a number. It was maybe 7 women lined up in front of a guy, and they were wearing shorts or bikinis, I don't remember, and you could only see from like the middle of their back to the end of their butts, the way they were sitting facing the camera. And he was playing their butts. And at the time, this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because at the time I thought, that's clever. It sounds good. We're all doing this. I'll post it. I posted it and got ripped by every woman that followed the page, and so I took it down. A week or 3 later, Maytal Cohen posts it, and it got tons of shares, great comments from the girls. So I understand that there's a whole perception thing, and that doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me. If you go to a fancy restaurant, you should probably dress up, maybe sit up a little straighter, use some etiquette at the table, talk to the waiter or the concierge a certain way. It doesn't bother me that when it comes to posting stuff like that, or even a man, I would never post like a Chippendales looking thing for the same reason. I think people need to kind of get their heads around that end of it, and the fact that, like your group on Drum Talk TV's Facebook page and the website, I know we have kids that follow the page, and as a parent and a grandparent, if I had a 7, 8, 9-year-old, little boy or little girl either way sing stuff like that, I'd probably say, don't follow that Drum Talk TV knucklehead. You can't see that page anymore. Yeah. So we're real careful about that, and I think, people need to understand context, if you will. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly right. I know a friend of mine just this week told me that she's one of the best drummers. She's so good, but she was signed, she was with a band, and I guess the label told her she was going to have to dress really sexy inside the band, and I believe she just got up and walked away. And I love that, because you would never ask a male guitar player to play in a G string or whatever. That would never be a thing. But for some reason, they expect women to look and act and dress a certain way behind the kit, and it shouldn't be that. It should be Your merit should be how you play, you know.
But not only that, but while the argument, and I'm saying this for the benefit of the people watching, because I know what some of you are thinking. They're thinking, well, what about wearing a male wearing spandex or that's true. But I think the point really here is to be yourself. No one should be told how to dress. And when we do Drum Talk TV event coverage, just as an example, I have one day where I say everybody wear, I happen to have one here, a Drum Talk TV shirt. And I'll have a shirt made for the event, but I only want them wearing it one day. I said, other than that, don't try to look like me. Well, God forbid. Why would you do that? Don't try to look like me. Don't try to act like me. Don't try to sound like me. I tell our correspondents, you were male and female. You were chosen for your personality and your perspective on drumming and for your experience. And you look at our teams every year, like the NAMM show we cover with this year it's 20 people, I think, 20 or 22 people. At least half of them are female. And I would never think to tell everybody how to dress, although we do give everybody tips on footwear and stuff because you're on your feet all day. But I never say to Milu, Angelique, hey, you know what, can you make the bottom of your top a little bit shorter and so your midriff can just come down a little more. I never even think of that, you know? We don't want people wearing something wrinkled or something. We have rules, but they have nothing to do with... Drummers are sexy without having to do that. Let's face it. Right?
You got it. You got it.
So I totally get that. And the only reason we have them wear a Drum Talk TV shirt that one day is because we have a group picture taken with them. And
sure, that's awesome.
Drum Talk TV people running around, which isn't always a good thing. Hey, let's talk about your playing.
Okay.
If you don't mind saying, how long have you been playing?
Okay.
How did you get started? And besides me, who is some of your biggest influences?
Okay. When I was a little girl, my mom's a pianist, so of course I had to take piano lessons. I hated it, and after about a year, she saw how miserable I was, so I got to stop piano lessons. My grandfather is a really, really good guitarist, and so he hooked me up with a guitar and put me in guitar lessons, and I hated that more than piano. I love to watch other people do it, but it didn't make sense to me. It didn't feel comfortable. My body just didn't want to do that. But when I would watch people on TV playing the drums, I knew that if I could get a set, I could do that. I mean, it just made total sense to me when I would watch it. And I kept talking to my mom and dad about getting a drum set, and they were, they saw I had already quit 2 instruments. They weren't going to put in the money for a drum set. So I mowed lawns all summer when I was 12 and bought a little crappy set. It ended up being a 1960s Ringo Starr type of set.
Oh, wow.
And because somebody was selling that so they could get a Vista-like kit. But, and so I ended up with that. I had no idea how to play it. And so I just kind of taught myself that summer. And then to get into 7th grade band, you had to have taken 6th grade band and know how to read drum music. And so I just kind of lied my way in to get into 7th grade band. Sure, I know how to read drum music. Sure, I took basically last year. And so I got it. And I kind of learned by just watching the other guys that were in the drum section. I would see what they were doing, and I would see how the music looked, and I could kind of pick it up. And eventually, I started being in jazz band, and in college, I got some seats, there that were kind of coveted. And so I just started playing, that way. That was kind of how I started. So that was back in 1970 something, 76, 77.
Cool. And a little sidebar, if you don't mind, just quick sidebar. What did you take in college? What did you major in?
Actually, I was a voice major, so I went to college on a voice scholarship my first year, and then, but the more I was taking the voice classes and voice performance, I realized that's not at all what I wanted to do. I wanted to play. So I signed up to be in, the jazz band and different things like that, and that was really what I was happy doing. So I quit that after that first year, came back home, met my husband, we got married, and then I really didn't play. He joined the Army, we moved to Alaska. I mean, it was just kind of a whirlwind of a whole bunch of things. I didn't play again until about 15 or so years ago. I picked it back up after I already had kids and was raising them, and And so about 4 years ago, I started to get really kind of serious about it. I wasn't just goofing around at home anymore. I really wanted to learn because I didn't really know technique, and I'd never let somebody take videos of me playing or anything like that because I was afraid of being crucified by all the guys that had education on it. And when I got really sick, I was diagnosed about 3 years ago with lupus. And we actually thought I was going to die from it. I couldn't breathe, and the doctors couldn't help me. And we were actually planning my funeral. And my husband said, hey, we don't have a picture or a video of you behind the kit. We need to do that. And I finally conceded and let him take some videos, and he posted it up on Facebook, which I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But honestly, everybody was so extremely supportive and so positive that it made it a lot easier for me to do it again and again. And I started watching those videos, and learning, oh, I should probably keep that, but maybe I should lose that. That didn't sound quite right there. These are almost everything that you've seen me do. They're my rehearsal videos with bands that I'm in. So I use those as instruction because I had never had any instruction. So how that all got started. Anyway.
That's awesome. I used to be a really good drummer. I used to be really, really good. And before Drum Talk TV, I had an online lessons platform. And I put a lot of stuff on Facebook and YouTube. And I went through a phase where I had to get comfortable with that. And I hadn't played in a while. I had lived in Australia for a couple of years. I had a video production company for 15 years, and I went there for a 2-week project and stayed for 2 years.
Wow.
And I didn't play. I think I played drums once while I was there with a friend of mine who's actually done interviews for us, Simon Fishburne.
Oh, yeah.
And then I came back and I took care of my dad his last 16 weeks and then moved back into the house that Engine moved us to while I was gone. And Drum Talk TV didn't come about till 6 months after that, and I hadn't really played much. But my thing is, I'm always rusty, but I want to play and put my stuff out there to encourage other drummers to videotape them. Videotape? Is there such thing as tape anymore? To video themselves and not overthink stuff. And it's a real nice process when you can video yourself and watch yourself and learn from it. Yep. And it's just a matter of one more little step to feel comfortable. Just put it out there. Quite frankly, even as the Drum Talk TV guy, I don't care what people say about my playing. I don't care if they like it I'm a caring guy and I'd like them to like it, but I know that there's things about my grip that traditionally aren't correct, but if you weren't watching, you wouldn't know that my pinky on my right hand never touches the stick. You'd never know. I got way over that really quickly because I wanted to inspire people to just put your stuff out there. And I've had drummers say, hey, I'll put your video on Drum Talk TV, hundreds of thousands of followers at the time, this and that. And they say, yeah, I'm thinking of making a new video. Got to get some new equipment and put it back. No, just take your cell phone at the front of your dog's forehead, make sure it's pointed the right way, and just put it up. Don't worry about that stuff. And people, when they send us videos to Drum Talk TV, they say, hey, we'll send you the HD version. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's social media and there's a lot of latitude. It doesn't matter because by the time it gets uploaded to Facebook, compressed when it gets put out, and then someone's watching it on their little device, it doesn't matter that you sent the HD version. No offense, but, so there's things that really I think we overthink that really don't even need to be thought of. I understand and appreciate the desire for quality and all that, but sometimes the only time I get to play is when I do my Drum Talk TV vlog 2 or 4 times a week. It's not just the only time I play, so I'm on the spot every time I play.
Yeah.
So I love that you got comfortable with that, and that's how I found you. I saw a video of yours that someone else shared. I saw it in the timeline, and that was that. And I think the first video we posted hit 140 or 70,000 views in the first couple weeks or something.
Yeah, I
it
think
just
so.
went like that. So So great. Thank you for sharing how you started. We'll get back to lupus in a moment. Who are some of your biggest influences?
Well, at the very beginning, when I was 12, I didn't ever get to go to concerts or actually watch anybody live, but I had some old Chicago records. So Danny Seraphin from Chicago, he's an amazing drummer, and I would listen to him over and over and try to, because he was a mixture of kind of rock and kind of jazz, kind of a jazzy light way to play it. I loved it. And so I kind of mimicked that as I could. I mean, I couldn't watch him do it. There was no YouTube or anything back then, or even instructional videos. So I just had to listen to it on the record and try to figure out how to make that thing sound.
I got to ask you something about that, because Danny was one of my first big influences as well. Yeah. And the first music documentary I ever saw came out, I think, in 1973-ish, and it was called Back at the Ranch. And it's Chicago on location in a caribou ranch in Colorado, recording and writing their album at that time. I don't remember which album it was. And then fast forward about 2 years ago, I discovered on YouTube, thank you, YouTube, and I want to ask if you've seen this. This is for anybody else that's a concert fan. You love to watch concert videos. If you're a Danny Seraphin fan, Chicago fan. Have you ever seen Chicago live at Tanglewood from 1970?
I haven't.
As soon as we're done, you've got to look that up. And that goes for everybody. It's a full-length concert, 1970. They had put out most of their hits already, big hits that are still big hits. And Danny does a wonderful solo. And that's when he still had the small 4-piece kit, and it is just, I watch it probably once a week all the way through. It's just marvelous. So since you're a Danny Seraphin fan, or for anybody else out there, you've got to look it up. It's Chicago Live at Tanglewood, 1970. So I didn't know we had that in common. That's great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever met him?
No, I haven't. I'm friends with his wife, and actually she's on Facebook, and she's actually in my Drummer Girls United group.
Yeah. I saw her in there. I'm interviewing both of them, I think the first week of November. We're working on the date. He picked a date and it was taken, but we're getting that together. And Pamela is putting out a magazine that's a lifestyle drumming magazine that involves a lot of drumming health as well. And I'm writing the business section. So,
fantastic.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. That's great. So who else back then along with Danny?
Jeff Vaccaro, Toto. Yeah, of course, when Rosanna came out, I was like, that's the coolest thing. I loved the way he played, and so of course I tried to follow him and learn how to do that, Rosanna shuffle, which was just such a cool thing.
Yeah, Jeff just like iconicized that shuffle,
Yeah, and of course Steve Gadd, he played on everybody's everything. I think Steely Dan and all of that, and so many iconic songs that were while I was growing up in the 70s. And so of course, he's the king. I loved everything he did.
Awesome.
As far as people now,
who are some more contemporary, either contemporary drummers or drummers maybe that have been around 30, 40 years that you only more recently discovered or fell in love with their playing?
Annika, I think she pronounces it Annika Nielis, from Germany. She's become a friend of mine, and she's an incredible talent. I can't say enough good things about her. And so I love the way she writes. I love the way she orchestrates and executes everything on her kit. She's just so good.
She's a great composer, too. And she
really is.
The keyboards on her stuff. She's a wonderful musician, absolutely.
She really is. And Emmanuel Caplet, out of Canada, she's an amazing, amazing drummer. I don't know anybody that is just so tight on the snare. She just knows so much technique and so many. She can take everything that she's learned being in drumline forever and put it on the kit, and she's just so solid.
Very fluid and relaxed.
She is. She can play the hardest music and make it seem like she's just doing laundry. She's just like, It's easy for her. I love her style of playing. Of course, Sheila E. She's crazy good. And anything she does is magic. And the guy that plays the drums, Aaron Mellergard from Dirty Loops.
Yeah.
I think he's got a perfect playing style. I love everything he does. So those are some people that I follow close. Of course, Chris Coleman, Aaron Spears, and there's just so many good drummers.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Stone Age, before we had YouTube and other social media platforms, you couldn't see drummers play live
Right.
like you can on video unless you went to a concert or went to a clinic. And now you not only get to see those things, but you get to see just someone sitting down to just play. You know,
Right.
it's not even a formal event of any kind. They're just sitting down to play, and I love that. If I had the time, I would just sit and watch more and more and more drumming videos. And that's not for everybody. That's not even for all drummers. There's drummers that don't even like or appreciate drum solos. I happen to.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of those things. Everybody's different.
Yeah. My last person I probably watched every single day, Mike Johnston.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Such an awesome educator, and he's just he's very open. He puts everything in layman's terms, and just the way he plays is just so good.
Yeah.
He knows his kit. He's a master at the drums. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome educator, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how has lupus affected your ongoing ability to play drums? Is it something that only affects you when it comes and goes? Is it something that's always there at some degree when you're playing and even not playing?
Yeah, it's some people that have lupus, of course, it's on a continuum. So some people may have it, and they'll have long periods of remission. Some people have it and they are never in remission. That's me. I was diagnosed about 3.5 years ago, although they think I've had it for several decades. But it hit me about 3.5 years ago, attacking my lungs. I couldn't breathe, and they finally figured out that that's what it was. After they took 32 vials of blood in about 24 hours to try to figure this thing out. And when I was finally diagnosed, I've got makeup on today, but I always have like it's called a butterfly rash. It's a lupus rash. It's on my face. And so anytime that you have that, it's kind of an indication that you are an active, lupus is active in your body. I never don't have it. It's always there. So mostly it attacks my lungs. So of course, that makes it a little harder for me to play on some days. And I've been on chemo, and I've been on infusions and anti-rejection drugs and anti-malarial drugs, everything that you can think of to try to keep this thing at bay. They really don't know how to treat it, honestly. There's not a cure, and there's not. They just kind of treat the symptoms, little band-aids here and there to try to fix it up. But it's something that I definitely have to watch every day. I'm on breathing treatments every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel right now?
Okay.
Let me look at the comments, and if anybody has questions for Tammy about the drummers group, about her playing, about dealing with lupus, anything like that, I'm going to look at the comments for a moment, and then I'll have another question that people might have questions about after I ask you.
Absolutely.
Let's see here.
Excuse me.
Cool, I've got some people watching that I know. Logan Ellis Jepper, Debbie Flood.
Hi, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie, very nice. Hey, Don Robinson. Let's see if there's some questions. Rick, Pepe, Carol, Thomas Groffy, Brancaska, thank you so much for the nice words. Omar, Mariani, Dr. Tank. Omar, send me a message, which will remind me to send you a message. I need to talk to you. The question I have, and I'll keep checking this. If anybody has questions, please feel free to ask. Don't be shy. So, Tammy, I've happened to kind of notice, for lack of, I don't want to say better words, but lack of other words, you seem to have a drum collection fetish going. Am I right?
Yeah.
Talk about what you've got. Every other week, it's like, yeah, I got a new, and then here's a new, and look what I found, and whoa, I dusted off my.
Yeah.
Talk about some of your gear, because I think most drummers are gearheads. I love old stuff. I'm an old guy. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're the same age, so. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I never would have thought that if I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm 53.
I'm a little older. But yeah, we're same generation.
Same generation. Okay, I'm sitting in my studio right now, and it looks like a drum store. It's ridiculous, and it's ridiculous. Okay, so drum sets. I've got a Mapex Armory kit I just picked up. I think it's walnut, and I've got a Gretsch Renown maple. It's beautiful. I love it.
What year are these? Do you know?
Okay, the Mapex. I think it's. I think the Gretsch and the Mapex are within the last few years. They're fairly new. I just got a DW Collector's Series kit, 1999. It's in white marine pearl. I'm in love with this kit. It's beautiful.
Does your camera move? Are you able to show these?
Okay, let me just take it to my room.
I know people are like drilling. Oh, beautiful, yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the kits that I have set up. That's the Mapex Armory. I've got these sets. I don't know what you can see. They're set up across from each other because I teach in person. The kind of blonde set over there, that's a Ludwig Classic Maple Monroe edition. It was made in 2012. I've got that thing in the corner. It's full of some of my, that's an old Ludwig set. It's a 1962 silver sparkle downbeat, New Yorker, I'm sorry. It's a New Yorker.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. I've got a little sockeye Pac D kit right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
And then I've got scores of different snares all over the place.
That's great. So a drum lamp. I spied a drum lamp.
Yeah, my husband is the greatest guy in the world. He's making me all of these cool things. So he took a bass drum and he made a lamp out of it.
How is it attached?
I have no idea. You would have to ask.
It's beautiful.
But he knows how to make absolutely everything. He built this studio for me. So I've got, I think I've got 6 kits right now. I just sold 3.
Oh,
so because it was ridiculous. And then, of course, I play heartbeat cymbals, and so I have a score of those. And I'm with several companies as an artist endorser, and I play exclusively those things. Cooper Groove Sticks is one of them. Sledge Pad, Sweet Spots drum dampeners, and I don't know, a Head Wicked Chops practice pad. I love that thing.
Yeah,
I practice it all the time. I'm not very good.
Where is mine? Someone took my. Hey, who took my? It's probably in the, what's it called, studio downstairs. But what I have, I bet you never saw one of these, I have the only existing gold one.
Oh.
We're going to use this as a trophy for a Wicked Chops competition that we're still putting together. But I've got the only gold one.
That's amazing. Can I tell you a story about that?
Sure.
I've got the one that you sent me, and I teach in-person lessons, and I teach Skype lessons. I have a little wiggly 10-year-old that I teach, and he's really, really gotten good. But he comes after school, so he's all hyped up from that. He's got a lot of other activities involved in. Sometimes he just can't pay attention. So I have to pull him off the kit.
No, I'm kidding.
So I pull him off the kit and I put him down with that Wicked Chops practice pad, which is, as you know, it's got a head of about this size.
Yeah, it's 1.5 inch for those who are not familiar with it. 1.5 inch surface, mounts on a cymbal stand, 8mm.
Exactly. So when he gets wiggly and he can't focus, because there's so many things, so many shiny things in front of you when you're dealing with a whole drum set, I pull him away from that, get him that practice pad, and he has to truly focus. Otherwise, you're hearing sticks click, and he's not hitting the surface, and he's having to really focus. I'll get him doing just paradiddles or some kind of hand speed exercise, and he has to really think. And we did that for 10, 15 minutes. He's back. And he's absolutely laser focused. He's ready to pay attention because he's had to really focus And what I've noticed with my students and even with myself is when you're having to concentrate on putting that stick right in the middle of that and not clicking and not coming off of it, you're actually getting better than when you put it on the kit. You're putting your stick exactly where you want it. So
exactly. And you know what? If I could mention something, and thank you for that. A lot of drummers, when they see Dominic Fragment goes live on the Drum Talk TV page about 3 or 4 times a week, couple times a week. And a lot of people comment that they think, why do I need to hit the center of the drum? This isn't so that you learn to hit the center of the drum. This is so you learn to hit your drums and cymbals wherever you intend to hit them. So when you know you can hit this, if you know your drums and cymbals and know the different sounds that they get on the different parts of the surface, if you can hit this consistently, you can hit all the points within a 10-inch, 12-inch, 13, 15, 16, whatever it is. That's the point of it, as well as just stick technique development.
Yeah, I've actually seen that with my students. They're actually able to put their stick where they want it now instead of having to really think about it or really watching everything. It's transferring from practicing on this pad to the kit. So I love that.
That's awesome. Send me some videos.
I need to take videos.
Ask his parents if you could send me a video of him. That would be awesome.
I'll do that.
Send some videos. That would be great.
Yeah.
Cool. So what is well, let me ask you a couple things about your drum collection. And this is something only a nut like me would ask, because I've done this and would do this. I would do this at your house while you're gone. Have you ever taken all of them and just set them all up together as one page?
No, I haven't.
You know you want to, though, right?
Well, I've got a couple of sets. The Armory and the Gretsch, they look really, really similar. So I did kind of think about fitting those together and just making a giant kit. But something that I kind of always do is the way I play at church and kits that I play out, it's usually 1 up, 2 down. So that's kind of how I practice at home. It's kind of that old adage, practice the way you're going to perform. So I kind of just always have it set up the way I'm going to go do my next performance, because why would I set it up different if I'm not going to play it that way? So that's kind of, I have my kits set up exactly the same. I have my cymbals in the same place, and if that's the reason, is because that's how I'm going to set it up when I perform anyway. So I just kind of keep it to that.
That's cool. Let me see who's come on board. Angela Sells.
And
Thanks for joining us. Cool. Well, for a minute, I thought someone gave us an angry face, but it's not. But no. Cool. So, in closing, Tammy, what words of wisdom do you have, not only from your own experience as a drummer, but from your own experience as running the group that you've now created with this wonderful community of over 1,100 female drummers and one guy?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for parents who have little girls that want to play drums? What advice do you have for adolescent girls that want to play drums? Or young ladies in their 20s, or women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who always wanted to, never had, and now they're thinking about it? Or from your experience in all those little layers, what advice do you have for them? And the parents too, for the younger ones.
For the younger ones, get them into some instruction that's fun for them. If they're having fun, they're going to keep practicing. Make sure that whatever instructor they use, or an online instructor, whatever it is, that's a good fit for them, because not everybody has the same learning and teaching style. So the first drum instructor that you come across may not be the right fit. So make sure that it's the right fit, and then they're going to have fun. They're going to practice. They're going to love it. It's going to carry on. If you're older, or you haven't played in a long time, like I hadn't played in a long time, it's not too late. My last 2 Skype students that signed up with me, one's 47 and one's 53. They're brand new beginners, and they're loving it. They can't wait to get on their kits every day. And they're having a blast. They wish they had done it years ago.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
not too late, and also get them involved with other girls that play or other women that play, because it's very encouraging to be with like-minded people and people that kind of lift you up. So I always have a little group of encouragers around me. So I think that's a really good way to live your life.
Anything less than 100% support from the people around you is sabotage, and you can't blame them, because we choose who to go with. We choose who to associate with. So whether it's blood, water, spit, or paint, or whatever, we choose who we surround ourselves with, and hopefully that's always a supportive situation. And you've been so supportive, not only of Drum Talk TV, but of me personally, inviting me into your group. Thank you again for that honor. And of course, there are no words for how supportive you are with the women and young ladies of your community, for which you built a whole group around. So that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Great. Hey, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this. Whether you saw it live or you're watching it on the archive, share it to anybody that you know who plays drums or is a musician. It certainly would be helpful. And Tammy, stay on the line for a moment after we say goodbye. I want to thank everybody for watching and everybody for supporting Drum Talk TV. I put Tammy's fan page link in the comments just a moment ago, so you can follow her there. And if you are a female drummer, check out Drummer Girls, all one word, Drummer Girls United. It's a closed group, so guys, you're not allowed up in that treehouse, okay?
Sorry.
Great. Thanks, everybody, so much for joining us, and we will see everybody soon. I just got to find the right button. There we go. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.